ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Verse number 13. अक्षेश्वर् अर्थार्पितेष्वेतत् गुणदोषविचारकं सत्त्वं रजस्तमश्चास्य गुणा विक्रियते हितैः. So we were discussing this the Sat is the material cause of the entire creation, and therefore Sat pervades everything. The difference between before creation and after creation, the difference is this, that the names and forms which were in unmanifest form in the cause, well, they are manifested. Actually, cause alone appears in all the forms. That is effect. Cause alone appears in the form of effect. So all the forms which you see, they are the forms of existence, actually, Sat. And so the creation is nothing but the manifest forms. Manifestation. Creation is a manifestation of the forms which were there before creation as unmanifest. And how do you say, Swamiji, that, well, what is the cause of this? Cause of this is, well, definitely existence, Sat. Therefore, right now also it is pervaded by Sat. Means this is Sat. That's all. This is Sat. Pervaded means you know very well. Pervasion of wave by water, that kind of a pervasion. So it is Sat. How do you say it is Sat? Well, you analyze. You can analyze it. Where it looks so solid entity. Once you start analysis, you will find that the grossness goes away. When I analyze this in the very first step, let's say this clip is, then definitely I will say the powder is, because it is made up of plastic powder. So let's say powder is. Now where is clip? Where is clip now? So gross entity has gone. Right? Now powder is still gross. But please understand, the ease is pervaded. Existence is pervaded right now, and even if this form goes away, clip form goes away, but existence continues in the form of powder also. And then powder also, when you analyze, you need not have to do anything. You just analyze in your mind. We have learned something about science, so we know that every particle of that powder, whatever, that, well, it is definitely all molecules together. So, well, the powder is now gone to molecule is. You see, the grossness is living. Looks so gross. We feel it is a solid entity. When you start analyzing the particular form itself, which is so solid, disappears. That is what I want to convey. And therefore, well, then molecule is. See, the existence is still pervading. And then molecule is. Then still, if you go on analyzing, then atom is, and then subatomic particle is, and then still subatomic particle is. So you can keep on dividing and dividing and dividing. Existence pervades at all the levels, whatever may be the form, subtle or gross. Existence pervades. And at last, whatever the concept, now it goes to the concept level, mathematical equation level, all mathematical equation later. See, such a solid entity, just I'm taking a model of science. Just such a solid entity has come down on the blackboard now at the level of concept. It has gone from outside to gone into inside. All concepts, all mathematical equations. That's what. So ultimately, it is all resolves into basically a existence which pervades at this moment also, on where at every level the existence pervades. So like you take a big pot and you analyze that, the very first step is what is the pot? It's all made up of pieces, let's say. When you break, you find some pieces. So pieces are, the pot has gone. But still existence continues. Pieces are, in form of, R means existence. And then every piece is, let us say. Okay, and then a piece is divided into, powder. And then powder is, then molecule is, then atom is, subatomic part. Same thing, everything resolves into existence ultimately. What pervades at every level, that from there only that form has come. So this basically has come from the existence. That's what I want to convey. This has come from the existence, which we call it as a consciousness. Well, that is a Shastra model. After some time, they will say some other model. Science will tell in its own way that this is all ultimately resolves into some energy or something. Some conceptual level. Very amazing thing is such a solid entity which is outside. When you start analyzing, it enters here. And concept exists due to consciousness anyway, but I don't want to confuse you further. But let's talk about existence. Then definitely everything has come from the existence, Sat. And so this is called creation, in which this particular clip was unmanifest. In Sat has become manifested. That is creation. Resolution is nothing but this goes back to Sat. So this is how right now this is pervaded by the existence. Sat means Sat alone through Maya appears this in form of this. That's all. Appears in form of this. So this is how the whole thing we have to understand. And this is what we are doing. And that Sat is myself. That would come little later. So I alone is the cause of the creation. I pervade everything. And therefore I am Brahman, etc. That we will see later. But this is how we can understand. And here aksheshu artharpiteshu etad gunadosha vicharakam. So we are seeing this, the sense organ. Aksheshu. Aksha means a sense organ. The sense organ can present objects, but they cannot make judgments on them, while the mind can make the judgment. Mind cannot present the objects to itself. Mind can make judgment, and it cannot present the objects to itself. Whereas sense organ can present the objects, but they cannot make the judgments. And both are required. Well, they should enter into my mind through the sense organs. So sense organs have a role, and mind definitely does a job of judging. Gunadosha vicharakam. So it judges in terms of good or bad, etc. And therefore it's a complementary thing. So that is how perception takes place. Perception takes place in which both the things are involved. Sense organs are also involved, and mind also is involved, and both have a role to play. So aksheshu artha arpiteshu. So when the sense organs fall on the sense objects. Teshu manaha gunadosha vicharakam. Basically, mind is the one which judges, right, in form of good or bad. Okay, now this much is we have understood. Now further, judgment of a mind is in what form? Oh, it will be in thought form, definitely. Good or bad, that will be a thought. Okay, then the question is, what influences the generation of thought? What influences? And so we will have to say that. We have to say that mind is influenced by three gunas. Because, well, it's amazing that this particular object, you judge it as a good, I judge it as a bad. Right? And therefore, ultimately, even though likes and dislikes, etc., we say, but basically, the varieties of the thoughts, there are thousands and thousands types of thoughts in a single person. And well, that is the variety is possible because of the thoughts are generated because of gunas. So that has been told here. Sattvam rajaha tamaha cha asya antakaranasya gunaha. Mind is basically formed of gunas, sattva rajam tamaha, and therefore thoughts are also basically having all these three gunas. And so depending upon the type of the thought that he is going to tell, depending upon the type of the thought, definitely we can call it that this is made up of a sattva guna, this is made up of rajoguna. I mean, so definitely the generation of the thoughts are influenced by the gunas. And karyam is a thought, actually karanam is a guna. So the mind itself is a karya of guna, and definitely the thought also is a karyam of the guna. So difference basically, so these three gunas influence the generation of all thoughts, and this difference in these three gunas only in the relative proportion of these three gunas in every individual. And no one is an exception in that, definitely. Even a jnani also have all, because jnani's mind is made up of ultimately gunas, and therefore he also have varieties of the thoughts. He may not identify with that. That's a different issue. In his mind also, because of rajoguna, some kind of a disturbance may appear, but he won't identify, he won't judge himself based on that, because he is awake to himself, what he is basically. I am free from all gunas. He is awake to himself, and therefore he will not identify with it. But anyway, his mind also has these varieties of the thoughts because of these three gunas. Their mind is made up of three gunas. And that guna, na pratyaksha vishaya, but it is basically, it is not, you cannot see the guna. No one can see. That's a cause, ultimately. That is a maya actually. Guna means maya. And maya cannot be seen by anybody. Karanam will never be seen. The karanam of the entire creation, including subatomic particles and everything, that is maya. So, even we are not able to see subatomic particles and sub-subatomic particles. All poor scientists, with all instruments, they will have to give up the instruments. They will close all the instruments and come down to the blackboard and write all the equations. So with the equation, they will make you understand. No one can see with the instruments also. So then the cause of all these things will be what? Will never be seen by anybody. So na pratyaksha vishaya, anumana vishaya, etc. So every thought in our mind is basically influenced by these three gunas. Now, first he will say, so vikriyate here, it means, thoughts are generated because of these gunas. And now, he says, under the influence of sattva guna, what kind of thoughts will be there? That he is going to tell in verse number 14. Vairagyam kshantiraudaryam ityadya sattva sambhavaha Kama krodhau lobha yatnau ityadya rajasothitaha. So, what kind of a thought will be there when sattva guna is predominant? Well, so we can sattva sambhavaha means from sattva. From sattva, these are the born, means all the three gunas are there, but sattva becomes predominant. Sattva sambhavaha means born of sattva. All the thoughts which are talked about in a 16th chapter, Devi Sampatti, Ahimsa, Satyam, Akrodha, etc., Apaishunam, etc. Bhagavan narrates all this Devi Sampatti, and in the very initial verses only, in the chapter number 16 in Bhagavad Gita, you will find these are all born of Sattva, Devi Sampatti. And Vidyaranya, so there are so many, but Vidyaranya here chooses only, he wants to indicate that this kind of thoughts So he's taking as a sample, I mean, few thoughts. What are they? Vairagyam, Kshantihi, Audaryam, Bas, Ityadya, etc. etc. So you can go back to the Amanitam, Adambitam, Ahimsa, Kshantihi, Arjamam, Acharyopasanam, all Sattva Guna. Even the 13th chapter also, all which has been told. In your mind there is a mode of non-violence. You are so alert that you don't want to hurt anybody. At the level of mind, at the level of speech, at the level of, at the physical level, well, that is sattva. And therefore, whatever help, in general I would like to tell, whatever mode of a mind which is helpful in spiritual growth, those thoughts are born of sattva. Because ultimately for a spiritual progress, you need knowledge ultimately, right? And for knowledge to generate, the mind should have a predominance of sattva. And therefore all this Devi Sampatti or this all values, 20 values, etc. in the chapter 13, and all these things basically definitely increases sattva. And thereby you will be able to gain the knowledge. Atma Jnanam is possible for you, and so that is how they are all related to spiritual progress. Whatever is born of sattva, those kind of thoughts are helpful in spiritual progress. So first is Vairagyam. Vairagyam is detachment from all worldly objects. Basically, see, if you have an objective value for all this, money, name, fame, property, influence, and all these things, sense pleasures, or even acquiring punyam, for all these things, if you have an objectivity, if you are not under the sway of these things, money cannot have a hold on you. You hold on money. That's a vairagya. You hold on to money, but basically money cannot have a hold on you. Well, you may have a name, fame, etc. or so many things. You have a sense pleasures, but sense pleasure cannot have a hold on to you. So that is called vairagyam. And therefore vairagyam does not means you should have, what they call, totally disgusting attitude. That's not vairagyam. That is actually indicating some raga somewhere else. And therefore vairagyam is a very healthy attitude. So you have a sense pleasures, but they cannot dictate their terms. Anything when in the world, any worldly thing, any materialistic thing, we cannot cannot dictate you. Think that you have a vairagyam for that. And that is how, and that is your own experience also. You have in your home several things, and you may be using also. But whether it is there or not, suppose if you don't care, suppose it is lost tomorrow, you won't care for it. Well, then you can understand that that particular object, it doesn't bother you, and therefore it is vairagya. Anyway, kshantihi, tolerance, etc., the capacity to adjust, accommodate, etc. And the people, their personalities, their opinion, their characters, etc., those things is called kshanti. Kshanti means an accommodation, basically. Accommodation. And of course, as Swamiji described yesterday, titiksha also can be taken into that. Well, that's correct. And so, ability to accept different situations and objects which are not favorable. That is, titiksha also can be included in kshanti. So, you putting up with the things without complaining. That's all. Putting up the things without complaining. It may be a person, situation, object, etc. Then we can say it is kshanti. So, titiksha can be accommodated. Well, audaryam. So, audaryam means a generosity as such. And with others, not clinging on to something. Now, this is to be understood little how audaryam has a connection with spiritual progress. And in absence of audaryam, there are obstacles. And those obstacles are obstacles to the spiritual progress, which I would like to share in few minutes. So, see, the human being is basically, is a insecure. Because self-ignorance is there. Self is secure. Self is secure. That's what I yesterday told. If you want to exist forever, right? At all the time, at all places, relating to all, you want to exist, then that shows that that must be your nature, because the nature is something which cannot go away. And that well, definitely, if you want at all places and all, relating to all and at all the times, you want to exist, then existence must be your nature. You may not be knowing because of the ignorance. And therefore, definitely, well, this self-ignorance, because of that, there is a insecurity from the birth. How can you say from the birth? Because child, you see the child just, holds on to mother, cleans her. If anybody wants that, you do like this, that please come with me. No, it won't come. It holds on to mother so tightly. That shows a sense of insecurity, naturally. And you can see when the mother is not there in vicinity, and if child's perception is mother is not around, then it starts immediately crying. So, well, that shows it's a insecurity is there. So every human being, because of self-ignorance, definitely there is a insecurity right from the birth. And since I feel insecure, I seek security from external factors. That's also obvious. Either in the form of, things and form of possessions, or in the form of wealth, in the form of relationship, not just wealth. So we want to hold on to many things in form of relations also. Otherwise, a wealthy person will not care for anything, but he also is dependent upon relationship ultimately. So we definitely cling on to relationship also, some other possessions, other things also. And since I am insecure, I turn, please understand that it is born of self-ignorance. I am insecure, etc. So I turn outwards and I expect security from the external world. And this is a first obstacle. I am insecure is a first obstacle. Why it is an obstacle? Because it is a delusion. You are in a form of a security. Nothing in the world can threaten you. That's your nature. And still you feel that the whole world threatens you. Therefore, that is delusion. What you are actually and what you believe to be are two different things. What you believe to be, what you have a judgment about yourself is contrary to what your nature is. And therefore, this is called delusion. This is delusion. So, I am insecure is a delusion, moha, very first obstacle to the spiritual progress. And not only that, second thing is, the second thing which is very obvious, it's an outcome of this judgment that I am insecure. That's a moha. The delusion gives rise to another delusion, that the world gives me security. Different objects, possessions, relationship, wealth, etc. gives me security. They make me secure. That's how it is. They make me secure. But how can you say that is moha? How can you say that's a wrong notion? How can you say? Well, no object is secure in the world. You think that this gives you security, but that itself is going to perish within a few years. And still you hold on to that. That's a moha. The thing which itself is insecure, which is going to perish, you say that it is going to make you secure. Well, that's another wrong notion. And therefore, it's unfortunate that I never, question this kind of an assumption. But basically, both these things are considered moha. I am insecure and the world gives me security. These two are wrong notion. That's a first obstacle to the spiritual progress. Second obstacle. The very next that unhealthy trait which is born is what? Once I think that the world gives me security, what will be the outcome? I will go on hoarding the things. I go on a spree of acquisition. Several things I am going to hold on. So that there will be a greed in acquisition of varieties of the objects. So definitely the third, the moha, that I am insecure, world gives me security. That moha gives rise to basically Lobha, greed for acquisition. Then, not only that, the third dosha also will arise. What? I go on acquiring more and more, that's a lobha, but at the same time, I never like to part with the thing. That's a third thing. So I want to cling on to everything. And therefore, well, definitely I cling on to everything, because according to my calculation, well, giving means making myself insecure. And therefore, well, so because of, because possession I have equated with security. So whatever I have, if I part with, I am going to feel insecure, and I don't want to feel insecure. I am insecure, that's another thing. But I acquired so many things and I don't want to part with it, because that possession I have equated with the security. So anyway, so the third thing is arising. What? I cannot part with the things. I will be miser. That's called karpanyam, miserliness. That's the third dosha. So first is a moha. I am insecure. World gives me security. That's a moha. Second thing is acquiring varieties of the objects. Greed will be there, because they are going to give me security. That's what notion I have. So that's a lobha. And then I cannot part with what I possess now. I have acquired, that I cannot part with. That's the third thing. That's called karpanyam, miserliness. And then fourth thing is, well, and the possession being what it is, anything which you possess and on which you are dependent for security, well, definitely have a nature of going here and there, naturally. And therefore it gives rise to a constant fear of losing. Whatever possession you have, definitely is also for all that possession, I will have a constant fear also, fear of losing. So all the four doshas will arise in absence of audaryam, in absence of generosity. So basically, Vedanta says, well, as long as you hold on to the things, your insecurity will only increase. So learn to part with the things and see for yourself that, well, basically this, to break this this fourfold unhealthy traits. Like, this is simple to understand. Like I told you that mother, the child which clings on to mother, definitely after some time, the child, even though it holds on to mother and even though it walks, it won't leave mother's finger. But mother, well, definitely makes a child free and let him, allows him to walk independently. He may fall down few times, but ultimately he will learn to be independent in walking, right? And that is how mother also does, and even child also sometimes leaves the finger of mother and starts walking little. So this is how it is. If he just clings on to the mother, basically he will never become independent. Child will never become independent. So if you want to discover a security and strength which is yourself, well, start parting off what you have. Puja Swami said in Bhagavad Gita home study course itself, you make a list of the things which are most valuable. For some people, wealth is not valuable that much. Time is valuable. For some people, skills are valuable. For some people, knowledge is valuable, etc., etc. Whatever valuable you find, start parting with it. That's what Bhagavan, in the chapter 16, while discussing, Puja Swamiji has showed a way how you should part with. So start, not that what you unwanted things. Let us see how many things are unwanted. and some people have a habit of anything unwanted, first they will think that it should be put into ashram. That in Ahmedabad, old furniture, now they think that not much money will come if they will sell. Then let's put into the ashram. Some people one person has come with a lot of drums in Ahmedabad. Those drums which are old types of drums, in which all grains they fill up. Some person has come with all those drums. Because they find that, well, in their home now there is not space and they have got a different type of containers which are a little modern. So where to keep? Go to the ashram and keep them. So not unwanted things you give. Wherever you give, I mean, give what is valuable to you. So time may be valuable, so give some, share with your time, share your knowledge, share your skills, share your some possession, share money, whatever is there. Well, that is not up to me what to, but whatever is valuable to you, share with the other. Then only you will find a strength in yourself to become, to find, I mean, to find a security and strength. Well, ultimately you will be able, you will be able to discover it independently. And therefore, audaryam is basically a guna which is very helpful. It is born of sattva and which is helpful for gaining spiritual progress. So even internal, internally also that attitude of giving also is not outside, but just internally also that attitude should be there, that generosity should be there. That attitude only helps. Anyway, so ityadyaha sattva sambhavaha vikriyaha. There are many more, ahimsa, and all this we know. Amanitvam also is a very essential quality. It is born of sattva. A absence of asking for a respect, that attitude, in which, well, I don't ask any kind of, not that I'm feeling very low about myself. Never ask about respect to anybody. Well, that demanding respect itself is born of Rajoguna and Tamoguna later. Initially Rajoguna and later Tamoguna. Absence of pride, absence of pretendence in the mind, all this ultimately non-violence, attitude of a non-violence, everything, compassion. Pujya Swamiji equates compassion and non-violence together. If where a person is compassionate, definitely he must be non-violent. Automatically. A compassionate person can never be a violent person. Anyway, so these are all sattva sambhavaha vikriyaha. These are the various thoughts which are born of sattva. And kama, krodha, etc. also, well, definitely here it is said, kama, krodha, lobha, yatna, that now we can understand very well. Kama and krodha, when one is not able to be content with whatever possession one has, one doesn't have a vairagya, then definitely this kama, krodha will be definitely there. And then greed also will be there, which we discussed. Lobha also will be there. Yatnaha, and naturally, if you have a kama, krodha, when the desire to possess, where the desire is there to possess more and more, etc., then mind is not quiet. It will definitely, the person will put a lot of efforts to acquire more and more things. So yatna, so lobha yatna, kama krodha, lobha yatna, ityadyaha, etc., etc. Rajasothita, they are born of rajoguna. Let's go to the 15th verse. Alasya bhranti tandradyaha vikarastamasotthitaha sattvikaiः punya nishpattihi papotpattischa rajasaihi. It says now, so, well, tamasotthitaha. Well, there are certain thoughts which are born of tamoguna. So basically, in that person who has predominance of tamoguna, definitely is, that person has a laziness naturally. So his attitude is alasyam. Alasyam means a laziness. Alasasya bhavaha alasyam. Alasasya bhavaha alasyam. That's all. These are all, the bhava. These are all abstract nouns. Abstract nouns generally indicates its status. So like madhuryam, sweetness is a status of the sugar, etc. Same alasyam, it's a mode of a mind. It is all these different modes of mind are always indicated in abstract nouns. And so here alasyam, laziness of the mind, definitely. Bhrantihi, delusion, very well. So bhranti, delusion, moha, etc. error. And tandraha also means a delusion, but or a tandraha also means a drowsiness. But basically, we have to find a difference between bhrantihi and tandraha. Bhrantihi means a delusion or error at the physical level, and tandraha at the mental level. So, I mean, all this much, if you want details, you can go into chapter 14 and chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. You will find all these things. And chapter 14, especially chapter 14, which talks about these guna vicharas are there, and you will find them. Satvikahi punya nishpattihi, and very nicely said. So when sattvic guna is predominant, a person will generate more and more punyam. And two types of punyam we always say. Some punyam will translate into material prosperity. The punyam, certain punyam will translate into spiritual growth. Who will decide? Ishvara decide. But Ishvara decide because if I do karma, then only he will decide. That's correct. When you do karma, then only he decides. And therefore, basically, he is going to give you karma phala, but based on your desire, right? Based on your desire. And therefore, if you do some good actions, but you have a desire of a karma phala, then that punyam which is generated is going to translate into a desired karma phala. And the nishkam karmas you do actually, panch mahayagnas, or I mean any kind of this nishkam karmas, well, definitely that is also sattvic karma. And that is while discussing three types of karma, sattvic karma and rajasic karma and tamasic karma, while discussing sattvic karmas, if you remember, we have discussed 5 panch mahayagnas. And definitely those sattvic karmas will generate punyam, which will lead to spiritual growth. So these two types of, material growth or spiritual growth. Well, you will acquire so many things depending upon your punya, which is generated out of your karma. And you did those karmas with an intent to get the material prosperity. And therefore you did good actions. And those good actions will generate punyam. That punyam will be translated into material prosperity. If you do nishkama karma, well, you have an intention, nothing but that you think that this panchamaha yajnas, etc. should be done because you are obliged by the world. World is obliging you all the time. Whether you fulfill the obligation or not, that's a different issue. But you are basically, your life is sustained by the entire universe. That is a thing. Even a cup of tea, right? I told you in that class. A cup of tea also requires the whole world. And I am wearing varieties of clothes are there and my food is there. And if you just look into the 3 things only, the food and, and then definitely these clothes, etc. And so those kind of basic things. And the place where you stay, everything is ultimately provided by the world. But Swamiji, it's all because of my money I'm getting a house and etc. Sir, you have money, everything. Go with that money, $1 billion, and go in the Sahara desert. And then let's see what your money can buy. Nothing can be done. You have a $1 billion, but in the Sahara desert with that suitcase of $1 billion, nothing will be there. So all people always think that with our money we can do anything. Ultimately, you are dependent on many things. Many people have realized now that money cannot do everything. And so basically, world is supporting you. Entire world is supporting you, and the people who you have bought certain, labor or something, but ultimately everything is available because Ishvara has created their bodies and their minds and their skills and everything. You are not creator of anybody's body. And therefore you should know, and even the money which you have got also, you have earned through this body, etc. Mind, your knowledge or skill is all given. Puja Swamiji tells every place, given. It's all given. Anyway, so basically, the sattvic karmas, etc., well, definitely leads to spiritual growth. Sattvic karma generate punya, but you do good actions based on a sattva predominant in your mind, but those punyams can either lead to material progress or spiritual growth. And rajasahi papa utpatti, naturally. A rajasic person, he has a pressure. A person with a, who has this predominance of rajoguna in the mind will have a pressure. He has to fulfill. And when the pressure is there, you will go out of the way. Wherever there is a pressure, you will violate the order. That's for sure. Because of the pressure will not allow you to settle properly. So that pressure will, pressure of a, kama or pressure of a krodha, anything. That pressure, basically it's a pressure of likes and dislikes. But that is pressure means it's a strong like or a strong dislike will definitely make you violate the dharma. And it will generate papam. And so, basically, and then such people will hurt others, etc. also will be there. In our own greed, we hurt others. Anyway, this is a big discussion on this. So, rajasaihi papa utpattihi. So, rajoguna basically will lead you towards the generation of papa. And tamoguna, what it does, it says now. Tamasairno urbhayam kintu vrutha yukshapanam bhavet atraham pratyayi karta ityevam loke vyavasthitihi. Tamasahi na ubhayam, both. Tamasahi. So when definitely these tamasic thoughts, tamasic thoughts mean the thoughts which are generated out of the predominance of tamoguna. Na ubhayam. So there is no punyam, there is no papam. Why? Because you won't do anything. If you won't do, where is the question of generation? Punyam or papams are generated if you do something. But if tamoguna is a predominant, if person is a lazy, and then definitely he is not going to do anything. And therefore tamasahi na ubhayam. Neither punyam, no. That is how a human being whose mind is more predominant in tamoguna is equated with the animal. Because of this reason only. Because they also don't generate any punyam or papa. A lion kills a deer, it doesn't generate any papam or neither punyam also. Doesn't generate anything. No animal, no creature other than the human being generate either punyam or papa. So, and this human being which is also had a predominance of tamoguna, and definitely he also remaining lazy, etc., does not do any activity, and neither activity for himself, neither activity for others. He doesn't want to do anything. We say, at least for your sake, well, you earn money and you enjoy, you buy sense objects, and I don't want to do anything. So this is how it is. So neither he does, neither is interested in his own progress, neither interested in anybody's help and helping to others. Such a person. So then punyam and papam, nothing is generated. And therefore, such a person is exactly like animals. Anyway. So, that question may arise. Like they say, if punyam and papam are not generated, well then definitely you will not get a rebirth. And therefore that will be moksha. And therefore, so this is a very good attitude. And therefore, so they say that to be born as a cow or to be born as even a mosquito, it is good because you don't generate any punya papam. So you won't have any birth. And therefore, but to be born as a human being is a shapam, is basically a curse. But they don't know that this is whatever sanchita karmas are there, we have acquired as a jiva. It may be any jiva. Right now he may not be doing any kind of a karma because the yoni is such, the janma is such, in which he doesn't generate punyam or papam. But he has already acquired as a human being in the past. Several janmas are there. And so therefore definitely he has acquired sanchitam. And from sanchitam right now he has got a prarabdham and he is experiencing whatever it is, right? Sukha, dukkha, etc., whatever. And that sanchita, a lot has come out. Still a lot of things are left. So only agami karma they don't have. The animals and other jivas, agami karma, they don't generate new punya papa. That's correct. But they have what they have earned. They will have to experience it. So sanchita is there. Agami won't be there. Same way our tamasic person also na ubhayam, na punyam na papam. Well, so basically the punyam na papam na saukhyam na dukkham chidananda rupa, not that. So that will not be here applicable. And so basically, what I want to convey is tamoguni person is basically he has a lot of sanchita, And well, animal, we cannot say that that this person has his life is a waste. We should not say that for animals. But for a person who has the ability to do, he has been given a free will. And well, whatever you do based on free will is action. It will generate punyam or pap. If there is no free will and if you find activity, that will not generate any punya pap. And that's how animals are running and killing and eating and what not. And sometimes we feel animals are helping other animals. I saw one dog, small dog. You know, it helps that a child of this monkey, and basically it got stuck somewhere, and that dog has pulled with his mouth. It took it out, that the child of the monkey. So we feel, well, it is doing a lot of punyam. Nothing. If a donkey takes a lot of burden of the clay or bricks or whatever, day in and day out, so much work, but it doesn't generate any punyam. So that is how basically their life is basic to experience their prarabdha, which is part of the sanchita. That's what they experience. But the human being, he is being given a free will, and so he can generate a new punyam at least. Instead, he doesn't do anything. So vrutha ayuhu kshapanam bhavet, Vidyaranya says. Vrutha ayuhu kshapanam bhavet. So this person has wasted his precious human life. Vrutha means in vain. It is in vain. Kshapanam. Kshapanam means his spending of life basically is in vain. And then it says, Vidyaranya says, Atra aham pratyayi karta. Now in varieties of the thoughts, so many thoughts, right? Based on a sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna, varieties of the thoughts are generated. Now he says something very, very extraordinary thing. Atra, in all these kinds of thoughts, aham pratyayi karta bhavati. So basically, now let's understand this, what it says. See, pratyayi means pratyayaha asya asti iti pratyayi. Dhanam asya asti iti dhani. Pratyayaha asya asti iti pratyayi. Pratyaya means a thought, vritti. So, aham pratyayaha asya asti. Even ignorant person who is a self-ignorant, he also has aham. And Jnani also has aham, right? He also says aham, aham, aham. Both are saying, both have a difference. Both have a aham pratyaya, but the recognition in the aham pratyaya, recognition of aham pratyaya is different in both the cases. In an ignorant person, that this aham pratyaya includes three things. What? Well, definitely it includes the I thought, includes all the three shariras, plus reflection in all the three shariras. That is Chidabhasa. And definitely Chit. So, aham pratyaya, the I thought is a conscious. Please understand this. I thought is definitely, when you say I, definitely consciousness is involved. And therefore consciousness is there. But then I has a sense of localization also. Yeah, right? When you say I am conscious, you don't have that kind of a vritti that I am all pervading consciousness. When you say I, you have a sense of localization. And therefore that is Chidabhasa. That is Chidabhasa. So definitely it is a consciousness is there, definitely. But getting reflected, that is a reflected consciousness, which is called Chidabhasa. If reflected consciousness is there, then definitely the medium of reflection should be there. All the three shariras. And therefore, aham pratyaya of a ignorant person, the I thought, that I, let's say I of an ignorant person includes three things. All the three shariras, plus reflected consciousness, and definitely consciousness, which is all pervading. That also will be there. And so, and now I of a jnani. What? From ajnanam to jnanam. What's the role of Shastra? Giving you knowledge. What is that knowledge? Knowledge means what? the same I, which is a composite entity of all the three. Out of that, few things are removed. That's all. Bhagatyaga Lakshana. That's what I mean. And you remove what? What is mithya? You remove. What is mithya? You remove it. What I can remove? Well, all the three shariras are mithya. It cannot be I. Because how? Why can you? Why? 1 minute. So basically, all the three bodies, they are mithya. And I am a conscious. I am consciousness. Basically, and therefore, this bodies, etc., cannot be included in consciousness. Because I thought I include consciousness also, and I include this the inert bodies also. Inertness and consciousness cannot go together. Cannot go together. They are opposite things. And therefore, definitely these three bodies, I have to drop it. But why you drop your consciousness? You keep these three bodies. No. I am conscious is self-revealing. I am consciousness is self-revealing and self-existent, and these three bodies cannot exist without me. When you say, well, I am conscious of the body. Body is conscious of you, or you are conscious of body? Please decide that first. You are conscious of body, or body is conscious of you? No, I am conscious of body. That's all. You are objectifying your body. You are conscious of your body. Body is object of your knowledge, and therefore you cannot include in consciousness what is object of knowledge. And therefore, this is the initial discussion. Then otherwise, how the object of knowledge also should be included in consciousness? That is all pervading. Okay, don't do haste. So definitely I, the consciousness, cannot include the bodies. Then bodies are not included. What is the status of, what is the reality of the bodies? Mithya. They are existent on behalf of me. They are illumined because of me. The existence of the body and existence of the illumination of the bodies are dependent upon the I, my illumination and my existence. They depend upon my illumination and my existence. And therefore, all they are mithya. What is dependently existence is mithya. And definitely that's how I am removing from that composite I. We call ahankara also. Aham pratyam is ahankara also. Anyway, so you removed. So ahankara is a composite entity, is called direct meaning of I. That's what we understand. When I say I, definitely all the three bodies I have included, a sense of localization I have included, and consciousness also included. That is a direct meaning of I, which is nothing but revealing the self-ignorance. And when you are exposed to this Mahavakya, then definitely you will drop. Because you are consciousness, that says Tattvamasi. And therefore, other than consciousness, whatever is there, you drop it. So all the three bodies and reflection in all the three bodies, definitely that is also mithya. So you remove it. Could you follow? And therefore, I am consciousness is called lakshartha. That's an implied meaning which has been taken, which has been understood by Mahavakya, by the Shravanam of the Mahavakya from the Shastra and teacher. So this is how we have to understand. Now here, in that also, few things we have to understand now more. Well, when it is a composite entity, that I am, the I thought includes all the three bodies and the reflections, etc., and consciousness. Well, all the time, whenever you say I, you don't refer all the three bodies all the time. Please understand, they are there. Your identification with all the three bodies are there because of self-ignorance. That is there. But you, at a given, whenever you utter I, either of the three bodies you refer, not all the three bodies simultaneously. So, well, when you say I am tall, naturally you are referring that with that I thought, you are referring only to a gross body. When you say I am karta, well, you are referring yourself. That I is equated with the mind. or intellect, either. Basically mind, I am just saying, including everything, manaha, buddhi, ahankar, etc. So you identify with the subtle body, I mean. So this is how at a given moment, you are not even though you have identified with all the three shariras, at a given moment, whenever you say I, you refer either of the three. When you say I am ignorant, definitely you are referring, you are identifying with the Karana Sharira. So definitely this is I am happy. That is also Karana Sharira. Or let's say subtle body. Keep it aside now, Karana Sharira right now. So because a thought is generated in your mind, Sukhakara Vritti, and so let's say, so you identify with the subtle body. So basically at any moment, you refer to one of the bodies, identified with the one of the bodies, and you refer, that becomes a reference for your identification. So aham pratyayi karta, aham pratyayi, aham iti pratyaya asya asti iti aham pratyayi. The one who is self-ignorant, who has this aham pratyaya, he will say I am karta. So what I want to convey is this kartrutvam is associated with aham pratyaya. And any other things, well, all out of many types of thoughts, sattva guna, rajoguna and tamoguna give rise to a different types of thoughts. But in which whenever you say I thought, well, definitely, and you say I am karta, when you say you are an agent of an action, well, definitely it refers to the aham pratyaya, not any other pratyaya. Iti evam loke vyavasthitah. This is how it is understood in the world. So this is what has been told. Now let's go to the next verse. Spashta shabdadi yukteshu bhautikatvam atisfutam akshadavapi shastra yuktibhyam avadharyata. Now very interesting thing he is telling. He says spashta shabdadi yukteshu bhautikatvam and atisfutam. It is very clear. So spashta shabdadi yukteshu means spashta shabdadishu vishayeshu. So the external, this world, material world, which is generator of this 5 elements, which are basically, which is inert in nature, etc. Well, that has been definitely picked up, perceived by the 5 sense organs. How it is perceived? Well, definitely because the external world, which is made up of 5 elements, has the 5 gunas. And so each indriya, each particular sense organ will pick up that particular guna. And that element is here also. Out of 5 elements, that particular element with its guna is here. And the sense organ also has that guna. Sense organ also is born of the same element. That only will pick up. That we have seen in Tattvabodha, of course. We have seen that. So, eyes will pick up only rupam, form or color. Definitely, then eyes also is made up of a fire element, sattva aspect of the fire element, and from the same element, fire element, but tamas aspect of the fire element, the object also is made. One of the object. One of the element in this object. All the 5, because basically panchikaranam. So all the 5 elements are there. But it has a fire element. But tamas aspect of the fire element is here. And sattva aspect of the fire element from which this indriya is generated. And therefore, the guna, the property of the fire is what? Rupa. So that is, color or a form. So definitely the eyes will pick up only the rupam from this object. Ears will pick up the sound, shabda, of this object. And so it is made up of 5 elements, but the varieties of the sense organ, 5 sense organ, pick up each the guna actually from this object, and that is how we perceive the object through 5 sense organs. So from touch, well, definitely, and so vayu element also is there, etc., etc. So this is how spashta shabdadi yukteshu vishayeshu vikareshu. Basically the external world definitely is made up of 5 elements. We can very easily understand. Bhautikatvam sphutam means it is very clear to us this external world is made up of 5 elements, because ultimately this world, which is made up of 5 elements, has the 5 gunas residing in each element, and those have been picked up by the particular sense organs. That's correct. Now what about, and it includes my gross body also, right? Not only external world, it includes my gross body also. Gross body, what is external out to the gross body is also picked up by the 5 sense organs. What is internal to the gross body is also picked up by the senses, right? We have seen that antara sparshaha, antara shabdaha, right? Internal sound, internal taste, etc. Well, everything we have seen that. So basically even a gross body internally also is picked up by the 5 senses, and the external world also is picked up by the 5 senses, because 5 senses do not pick up 5 elements. 5 sense organs pick up 5 gunas and of the respective elements. And which sense organ picks up which guna? Well, which is born of a same element. So Agni has a rupam, then rupam will be picked up by eyes only, because eyes also is made up of a sattva aspect of the fire element. And therefore, so say that way we have seen that. So this is spashtam, this is atisputam, it is very clear that entire world and the gross body all is bhautikam and achetanam also. It is elemental and it is inert also. Then the confusion arises when we come to sukshma shariram. That is where problem arises, because sukshma shariram means sense organs, organs of action. I have already told you, any sense organ, any indriya is ati indriya, right? So eyes cannot be seen by the eyes, eyes cannot be heard, eyes cannot be touched. No, Swamiji, we are touching, that is eyeball, that's a part of gross body. That the invisible power, that's what we say, invisible power. The power which is there in this gross eyeball cannot be touched, cannot be heard, cannot be seen, cannot be smelled, cannot be tasted. Means entire, all sense organs, organs of action, mind, and all this, pranas also, which is subtle body, that subtle body cannot be picked up by sense organs. And therefore, how will you know that the sense organ, the subtle body is made up of elements? This is made up of elements because you are able to see. So, eyes pick up the form, well, ears pick up the sound, and this, definitely this indriya, sparshendriya, the sense of touch, can touch it, and I can taste it also. I need not taste in your presence, but I can taste it. And so all this, so this is an object, because my sense organs can objectify very well. So any gross object outside and the gross body also is picked up by the 5 sense organs, and therefore, it is made up of elements. It is very easy to understand. But how the subtle body is made up of elements? Because it is not picked up by the sense organs, because it doesn't have any guna. It doesn't have any guna. If guna is there, then definitely a sense organ will pick up that guna and says, this is there. But so it is little difficult to find how the subtle body is made up of elements. And that is how science don't believe. Science don't believe. Science says this is made up of elements. Okay, we agree. Gross body. There is nothing other than, there is no other body other than the gross body, they say. There is no mind other than the brain. There is no eyes. There are no eyes other than the eyeballs. There are no ears separate from the eardrums. They accept gross creation. and they don't accept the subtle body, etc., distinct from the gross body, etc. Well, we will have to see that tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.